United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks again for coming out tonight. We'll start with item number 1, approve the agenda, make any additions, deletions, or corrections this time. I've got one correction, and it's on the consent agenda, number 2D, where it says pay request. The dollar amount there, the $448,054.39 is correct. It needs to be pay request number 11. And that's all I've got. Teresa, anything else?
No.
Dan? What?
No.
Lonnie? Doug?
Yeah, I'm good. I just see the next request isn't numbered. You know, those number 5. Didn't have a number.
She's number 5.
That
It
D
says
is
that.
the one that we're missing.
D is the one we changed to number 11.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, the one above is number 5. Anything else? Good with that?
Yep.
Okay, all right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as corrected.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Coy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Lonnie. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously, Linda. On to number 2, the consent agenda. Everything's in your packet there. We changed number 2D to pay request number 11. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as changed.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Dan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Doug, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Visitors to the council, we have library staff here tonight. Pat? Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm Pat Schaefer-Gottschalk. I work at Catherine Public Library, and I'm so glad to be here this evening. We'd like to share a few things with you about a wonderful summer that we've had, and I brought with me the 4 top readers to tell you about that. They will be giving the information this year, and I'll introduce them one at a time. First, I would like to introduce Emily Schulte, and she's going to come up and say a few words.
My name is Emily Schulte, and it's an honor to be here. I would like to tell you a few things about the summer reading program at Catherine Public Library. For the past 2 years, the library has started off the summer with a kickoff event on the library lawn. There are games, prize, hot dogs, water balloons, launching, crazy, hair, and more. It's a fun way to begin our summer. This year, 460 people attended. Each year, the library also hosts several contests. For the past 2 years, kids have been invited to make art out of only recycling things. This year, 33 works of art were submitted and were judged by 4 community members, including city administrator, Ms. Coleman. The summer reading program has special events, usually on Fridays, called Fun Fridays. Animals from Oxbow Park were brought to the library, and a novel naturalist taught us about caring for them and the environment. 153 people attended this event. The past 2 years, the professional librarians have participated with KM Elementary School and have provided story time for classes during summer school. The librarians also partnered with 10 other child care providers in Catherine to bring great books and summertime story times to them. The total number of kids who were reached by story times and book deliveries totaled 988. It takes a lot of help to make a successful summer reading program, and we are so thankful for volunteers who offered their help. This summer, 62 people volunteered their time at the Catherine Library. Thanks for the opportunity to share information about the summer reading program.
Thank you.
And next will be Charlie Meyer.
My name is Charlie Meyer. It's an honor to be here. I would like to tell you a few things about the summer reading program at Catherine Public Library. For the past 2 years, the library has offered activity clubs for 8 to 12 years old. Last year we had fun with Science Club. This year, a new activity club called Survival School helped us learn outdoor safety, first aid, how we can build a shelter and a birdhouse, and have fun while hiking. This activity club was attended by 130 kids. week, the library has several contests. The contest called Where Has Rocket makes us guess where Rocket, the library stuffed animal mascot, was visiting. It might be a store, dentist, bank, or even City Hall. This year, 839 kids took part in this contest. The summer reading program has many special events. Usually on Fridays, they're called Fun Fridays. Actors from Climb Theater presented a fun play about being ourselves. There were 73 kids present to hear their message. We also had Fun Friday in the evening for families. African drummers brought 35 drums with them and taught us to play. There were 105 people all playing drums. You can be sure that was the loudest it's ever been in the library. It's been amazing to see how many people are excited to see the special events, both adults and kids. This year, all the people attending the special events totaled 2,279. Thanks for this opportunity to share the information about the summer reading program with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, Jade Scoville will share a few other facts with you.
My name is Jade Scoville, and it's an honor to be here. I'd like to tell you a few things about the summer reading program at Casson Public Library. For the past 2 years, the library has provided activity clubs for age 12 year olds. Last year, science clubs served fun with STEM building projects and experiments. This year, a new club called Experiment 812 focused on trying new things. Crafts like bookmaking, learning a new language, the Candy Quiz Show, and others. 152 kids came to this activity club. Each week, the library also hosts several contests. Each week, a coloring contest is held and 3 winners are chosen. Over the summer, 358 kids entered this weekly contest. The summer reading program also has Fun Fridays. Animals from the Minnesota Zoo were here for a program in June, held at the high school. The zookeeper taught us about how we can make a difference caring for them and our earth. There's 380 people there. For our final Friday, we had a service project, making pet beds for homeless animals at Paws and Paws Animal Shelter. 80 pet beds were made, all with donated fleece fabric. These were delivered along with a large collection of donated pet food. It's amazing to see how many kids participate in the summer reading program. This year there's about 500 kids registered, but Casson also offers a summer program for teens and adults. This year there is 50 teens and 50 adults registered as well. The library says that it's reading fun for ages 1 to 91. Thanks for the opportunity to share your information about the summer reading program with you.
Thank you.
And lastly, Andrew Holt will share some other facts with you.
My name is Andrew Holt. It is an honor to be here. I would like to tell you a few things about the summer reading program at Casson Public Library. Each week, the library has lots of story times for preschoolers, school-age kids, and with Runner, a reading therapy dog. This year, our school principal, Mrs. Wright, also came for a story time. During the summer reading program, there were 68 total story times. Each week, the library also holds several contests. One of the most popular was pizza and ice cream giveaways. Local businesses generously gave out gift certificates, and this year, over 1,000 kids entered the contest. The summer reading program also has Fun Fridays and other special events. This year, the Weather Lab meteorologists from KAAL-TV gave us a fantastic program on weather science. The audience was huge, 636 people. During the summer, kids keep track of our reading hours on logs, and for each hour we read, we earn a point. The library counts all these points and rewards us with a store for kids to choose books, school supplies, and fun prizes. As a reward for our reading, the store was held over 3 days at the end of July, and 415 people came. And finally, let's talk about reading. Studies show that kids who read over the summer score much higher on tests in the next school year, and are better prepared to enter the next grade. This year, area kids read more than ever before. When all our logs were totaled, we read together 8,929 hours. That's almost 9,000 hours in 2 months. Thank you for this opportunity to share information about the reading program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If we could just give a round of applause. Those are our 4 top leaders. And now I'd like all 4 of them to come back up, and Mayor McKern is going to help me give a presentation and gift to each one of them.
Emily, 90 hours. Congratulations.
90 hours
Yep.
of reading. Congratulations.
Hang on.
I think they
Oh,
each
yeah.
can.
Yeah, there's pictures.
Oh, you want
I'm trying
a
to-
picture of
Holly,
me too?
yeah.
Oh. Sure.
Okay. We gotta keep that tradition. Congratulations.
And this is Charlie.
Charlie, 101 hours. Congratulations. They both like cameras so much, don't
And Jade.
they? Jade, 127 hours.
And lastly, Andrew.
Andrew. That's more hours than I've read in all of my years going to school. 211 hours. Congratulations before you.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Pat.
much. Yes.
Thanks to Pat for leading that. She puts a lot of work into the whole program, organizing all of those hours and special programs and all the speakers and activities at all different places. So a round of applause for Pat for organizing. Back to my spot here. Okay, that was visitors to the council. Next up is public forum. I've got 3 cards. If there's anybody who wishes to speak during public forum, I do need a card. They're located on the podium outside, so have a chance to get that to me if you want to. So just remind everybody that anything that's been discussed or decided at a public hearing, we can hear comments on it, but we really can't have a lot of discussion about it without posting another public hearing. So first, Jamie Finney.
To let you know, Chris, someone walked out to get a card.
Yep.
I'm Jamie Finney. I'm at 401 First Avenue Southwest. I'm the property directly to the west of the proposed KC. I've been at the public hearing and then when we passed the CUP last night. I just want to make some clarifications and maybe an addition or two to that CUP if I can. I've got a map here and I kind of highlighted. So I'm right over here. This is the block that's in question. Shopko is right here. So the holding pond is going to be, directly across from my house. I have several young grandchildren, and I understand that there's a fence that's going to go this way. I haven't seen the updated version of the site map, but I'm hoping that that fence, can actually make the corners maybe, so my grandchildren aren't tempted, to go around the block and into that holding pond. We have not ever, had water over there. Now they know enough not to go in the creek, which is across by Shopko, and they know enough to stay out of those holding ponds. However, they're used to being out in the street. And so I'm just looking to have an additional, make sure that that fence, kind of goes around the corner. And then if there is by chance an opportunity to maybe even close off this intersection at 4th Street and First Avenue to prevent, you know, traffic from doing a round robin here around our block. You know, because there's only my driveway and Adam and Sarah Heyman's driveway to the south. Those are the only 2 driveways that'll be coming out onto First Avenue. I've talked with Adam, and he is not opposed to having that, you know, block or this intersection, you know, maybe barricaded off, so, you know, he's not opposed to having to go around the block and up to Erdman's the other way. And neither am I. I mean, that, so, to stop traffic or alleviate more traffic, because there has been more traffic in the shop, you know, from Shopko being there. They kind of circle around this area for whatever reason. I'd like to stop that, because there's no reason, you know, for that traffic to have to do that. And then another thing that I was thinking about, and I know Jerry Struthers is very interested in this also, is maybe that berm. That's the pink area around his house that is not in the new commercial zone. It's still residential, as I understand how it got passed at the council meeting in July. So if it can get bermed with bushes up on top, that would be very helpful, you know, to keep, you know, anything from sightlines or whatever. So that's all that I would like to talk about. I would just, you know, make sure that these issues are being, you know, recognized and thought about on our behalf.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Jerry Struthers.
Yeah. I'm mainly concerned about that berm in case. Just last week, they had 5 inches of rain down in that Goliath, or Adams down there. And if they dump all that rain on top of Casey's, or that's all gonna be running down our way. And I'm not really crazy about having all that water run through my yard.
Okay.
That's the main thing I'm concerned about right now.
Okay. Thank you. Jason and Nicole Barnsworth.
I'm Jason. This is Nicole with 18th Fifth Street, Southwest. A few things that we have concerns about as well, and that's number 1 is traffic. As I see on this print here, this driveway comes out directly into my driveway. All this is going to be directly in front of my house. I mean, directly.
In front of our house, in front of our sidewalk, in front of our driveway.
If nobody thinks that this is going to create a problem for us somewhere down the line,
we won't be able to leave our house. Traffic is definitely an issue for us, and we sent an email about our concerns about that last month. We were hoping to negotiate something, some kind of fair compromise with that. Ideally, we would like to see no Casey's entrance on 5th Street. Traffic is huge, safety. I guess one of the main things we would like everyone to consider is that there are people that live in these homes. They're not just structures on properties. They are actually homes that people live in. We have
spent a lot of time working on our home in particular.
We've lived here for 17 years. We have kids. We have pets. So we're just concerned about, you know, we realize Castle's changing and it's growing, and we're willing to work with that and accommodate. We're just hoping that everyone remembers too that just to consider the best route for us.
And I have 2 concerns on this conditional use. Number 7, this will not cause traffic hazards or congestion. Have any of you tried to get out on 5th Street or onto 5th Street?
Out of Subway even, or Domino's?
You can forget it at 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. With 7, it's going to be horrific, right here on 57 even. And number 13, this will not disrupt the character of the neighborhood. I find that very hard to believe that a Casey's in our neighborhood is not going to disrupt the neighborhood. The character of it, we moved into that house thinking that we lived in a nice neighborhood. We had neighbors. We had a park. We had a neighborhood. It just keeps getting chopped, and nobody seems to care about the 3 people that are down here all the time.
Well, and we understand that, you know, there's factoring in the better of the whole community, but still, we matter. I mean, we've lived here for 17 years. I would like to think that you wouldn't totally disregard 4 homes just for what you feel might be the best for the whole community. So we would like to think that every resident matters.
That's pretty much what I have.
Other than the traffic and then the headlights with the vehicles in and out, if the driveway does remain right in front of our home with headlights with the traffic in and out, that's just gonna be a scene. So that was one of the other concerns. And then the fact that the Casey's in Manorville has a large access onto Highway 57 where you can take a right and a left onto the highway. So we are hoping that Casey's is working with MnDOT to have an access on Manorville Avenue as well. That's it.
No, but it's- yeah, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy?
Thank you. I guess the ball started rolling for me and my topic. My name is Amy Fradiani, and I'm here today to learn a little bit more about the City of Casson's procedures in terms of building permits, the actual procedures for that, and what collaborations are in place with the Dodge County Assessor's Office. The building I'm referring to, I live on 505 14th Avenue Northwest in Casson. The building permit for what was, quote, garage, end of quote, at 506 15th Avenue Northwest, is a very impressive sized garage, to say the very least. Few questions for the council, if I may, please. I'm curious how we define residential permits versus commercial and new. So I'm not sure how we're defining commercial building versus what is allowed in residential, but I can tell you that according to this permit, it says the front is a width of 22 feet and the length is 36 feet, and just miraculously the height was left off, which is the biggest concern I have of all, which to date, it's my understanding, it's 59.5 feet high. So as a Casson taxpayer who pays quite a bit in taxes, I bought that property equally thinking that it was a nice community. I was told that I couldn't put up a clothesline in my backyard when I bought this house. I was pretty excited about that actually, because that was good news for me. But instead, I have this nice wall that once I was able to see from my deck that I spent a lot of money to put in, I could see the skyline from where I was sitting. I had no problem seeing the houses. Now virtually I have a house. This garage is so gigantic that that's all I can see from every window on that side of the house. As you can understand, I tried to let this go. I called the city before the cement got poured because I was praying to God it would have been a swimming pool at best. But I was sorely disappointed to hear what was actually going in on that. And the rationale that I received was that I got the, you know, the Uncle Eddie scenario with a motorhome and how we have places in Casson that have motorhomes sitting on the side of their house. So how do we justify or how do we define what people can do with their property? That's a fair statement. A motorhome, however, we can drive that thing off the lot. It's not permanent structure. I'm sure it's not considered the 25% of how you occupy your land. So I didn't really care for that analogy because it's not comparing apples to apples. A couple of things I should note with this eyesore in the back of my yard now is that there's gonna be another driveway, because this garage is going to be used for this individual's business. He drives a semi. The semi is going to be parked in the 59.5-foot high so far, the roof's not even on yet, in the backyard, which is going to mean that we have safety concerns with kids. This particular individual used to park his semi along the road. I never called the police to complain, but I will tell you numerous parents did. He was forced to take this truck off the road and park it somewhere else. Because what was happening is, he parked his semi there, and lo and behold, the neighbor across the street decided, well, if he gets to park a semi there, I guess I can park mine here too. So he was forced to move the semi, so now he's building his own house, essentially, or this garage, to put his truck in. A few other things with that. I'd be curious how he's gonna back in and out of that garage. So he no longer is on the side of his house where he pulls up in his driveway. He now has this lot where here's his house, here's his deck, here's the property line. He's exactly, from what I understand, 6 feet or whatever the law is, or whatever the policy is in the city. Here's my backyard. Okay, so it's going here. That whole thing is occupied with that garage. He's got a front entrance here. There's a sidewalk. So he's going to be creating another driveway out of the sidewalk, I'm assuming, because I have no idea how he's going to back in and out of the garage with that. So, again, I'm not sure the rules and the law on that, but it's a safety risk to me. And another thing to note, as I was looking at the permit, I don't know what your rules are on drains, but he's got a nice drain in there. There's a nice drain on the side of the house, which I'm questioning what that's going to be used for. So he's going to use water in there, obviously, or otherwise he wouldn't need a drain. And in the wintertime, he's going to have a place for that thing to unthaw, I'm sure. So there's going to be water involved. But the question is he going to be changing the oil in that garage, and what is all going to filter down to the end? Because this is on the end street. Surprisingly enough, when I got a copy of the building permit, the height just seems to be missing. I mean, it's just, I don't know, that it failed to be added to the permit, which could be coincidental. I don't think so, but it's not there. Lastly, out of respect, and this goes along with what this couple has been talking about, you know, when something like that goes right in your backyard, you feel like you've been robbed of thousands of dollars. And so I can call the Dodge County Assessor's Office, and they can tell me that they don't have any clear data to support that it decreases the value of my home. But I can tell you, it certainly decreases the market, people who may be willing to buy that place. I have a nice deck. I've done a lot of work to the home. I put a lot of money into the home. I specifically came here to Casson because I have a high respect for the schools, the art programs. But I will tell you, and it's certainly not for Main Street because, you know, but I will tell you that this has been very hurtful. And not just even the fact that the neighbor didn't bother asking me. When these structures go up, you have to have something that supports it. So you'll have to drive by because you'll see what I'm talking about. This concrete got built up quite a bit because you have to have a level for the semi to go park in. That construction crew came in, they poured the cement. There was 10 people walking across my back lawn. A fourth of my backyard was pounded in with boards to support this concrete structure. Now, that's in my property, okay? So the 6 feet rule might apply structurally when the building's up, but somehow the building has to get up, and my lawn was used for the structure. There's still a board in my lawn, and every day I kind of fantasize about taking a big sledgehammer and pounding it out. But I'm pretty sure that's against the law, so I'm not going to do that. But the respect is definitely, I'm very hurt by this. If my kids were in this school district and getting a great education, I have the best of respect for my neighbors. I love the community. But the decisions that are made starting here have a significant impact and downstream implications on our livelihood and our financial means in this community. My taxes are extremely high because I approved having my kids go to some of the best schools. I think I deserve better than to have a big building like that in my backyard, essentially, for someone to park their semi in, which seems to me to be commercial. So I appreciate you listening to me. I had to come and speak today because I have been stewing and festering over this. And then when I get comments from people like, how in the world was a permit ever granted? How did he get a permit for that? It adds fuel to the fire, obviously. I would also ask, please, that someone check the law with the 25% of permanent structure, because I can tell you, and if I did my math right, which can be kind of humorous, so I'm not promising anything on that. He has, according to Dodge County, the square footage of his house is 2,025. The size of his lot is 135 feet by 80 feet. And according to this, so if you take the house alone, if you multiply the 135 by 80, I get 10,800 square feet. If I look at the total lot parcel size of 135, so to me that's 19% alone with the house. Okay, now we've added this, I don't know, he puts building size, 680 square feet. I don't really know what exactly those dimensions are. But I don't know if you count the height with the 25% or how that works. I sure wish they would, because I could have handled the length. What I can't handle is seeing nothing but the broad side of a building every time I look out my window, and the value of my home. So at the very least, if I could get some payment for trees to block that eyesore, that would at least alleviate some of this angst I'm having, so to speak, for lack of a better word. But I'm very disappointed. I was okay with him, you know, the tree, every shrub, you know, his kids got home from Green Day from school. I've helped mentor this family. We've been good neighbors. There's no conflict with the people. The conflict is with the decisions, how we got this permit, and the lack of respect for a neighbor to say, are you okay with me having a bunch of people come in your lawn, pound holes in your lawn, so that I can put up this gigantic building? I didn't get that. And I didn't see anything for a variance that came through, you know, from the city saying, hey, there's a variance, any objection? Absolutely nothing. So, if anything, if I do anything here today, I hope that we've made an impact on how these decisions are made, and I'd be curious what the appraisal, what the people come that actually make sure that he's following everything that's in here, because the permit's missing some critical information, I think. And then I don't know about the sidewalk, but I'll leave that in your hands. I do appreciate you listening to me.
Okay, and someone will get back to you. I can't comment. It's the first I've heard of it. So,
Yeah.
And when was the permit dated? I just asked that question.
It was a name fact. I mean, I have this in my email, actually.
Yeah,
so
we have all that information.
Okay, if you could forward it.
Yeah, we have all the
There's a copy here, so.
Okay.
We have all the
Thank you
information.
very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, was there anybody else with a card? Everything?
Do we go now, if we're done with the public?
You can if you want to, yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep,
I
thank
do
you.
appreciate you.
Appreciate you coming in and sharing your comments.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we don't have a public hearing tonight. Committee report, Planning Commission. Item number 8, conditional use permit for Casey's General Store.
So I did provide a conditional use permit, a resolution for a conditional use permit that includes the conditions that were discussed at the planning commission meeting on Monday. and recommended to the council for approval. It is 10 feet, thank you. The 10-foot electric utility easement. Which I will fix before it gets signed. Thank you for catching that. What that is.
Brandon, does everything drain to the pond?
That'll be one of the conditions that we'll have, when we review the final site plan. It appears, based on what they have here, that the curb and gutter and the catch basins there would direct the stormwater to the pond.
Is there curb and gutter around the whole perimeter on
Of
the
the
southeast side, and then I guess it'd be to the east of the pumps? That whole thing's all curbed into the parking lot, then everything is sloped to go to
Correct, yep.
the ponds?
So if the question is about the Southers property there, it appears that there's curb and gutter there to kind of intercept that flow that would be potentially sheeting through their property, and then ultimately draining to the pond.
To the pond, so stop saying water flow going to the northeast.
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Or else, there may be a little bit on the north end of the driveway apron there that would go out to the street, but probably significantly less than what currently would drain to that property, or actually to our public right of way.
Okay.
And there really isn't enough room to put a berm in that area. Not that tall.
And get the driveway where it needs to be is gonna be very difficult, yes.
Right.
And then my eyes aren't the greatest. So is there a fence all the way
Yes.
down the perimeter?
feet.
There's a fence here. There is no fence on this side from the north side. Correct?
Correct.
There is no fence on the north side of the pond as of right now.
Yeah, that's correct.
Could a fence be put in there? Even at just 4 foot, because there wouldn't be anybody living on the north side.
I would say you guys need to do what you need to do for making the conditions.
Just
that
for
you want.
child safety is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and I think we can. There's no way for us to completely eliminate that risk. The thing I would tell you
Right.
with
I
the
mean,
water
if
retention.
they could go around the
Yeah.
fence even going further.
Yeah, and the thing I would tell you is that the water that's in there fluctuates. It might be less than an inch.
It might not be anything.
And depending on, depending
Right.
on rain
Right.
levels, it could be 3 feet deep.
Right.
There's just no way to tell what's gonna be in there at any given moment.
Yep, I get that.
Yeah, a 4 foot would be acceptable.
Yeah.
Doing anything on
Well, how come there'd be no fence, we've got another residential property to the south there, why is there a fence there?
You're all right.
We got residential here, residential right here on this corner. It'd be the same difference.
Can we install a fence on the south side?
Or that-
To the driveway?
You're talking that 100 feet or whatever? Roughly 100 feet?
Yes.
Oh, it's right.
No, here.
Number 3.
It says it right here.
Yeah, it's already right on the thing.
It isn't on this drawing.
But
Well,
it's not on the drawing.
But it's on number 3
Right,
on here.
right.
Fencing for all adjacent residential property, residential district.
Well,
I do have and residential district.
Okay, so anything that faces residential, including the south, is approved.
Okay.
If that is.
So, I wasn't at the planning and zoning, but I watched the video. There wasn't a lot of discussion that night about the traffic. And the traffic study, I read that whole traffic study of how many more cars and the wait times and that. But as far as that driveway that goes to the south, personally, is there any way for that to be moved to the east at all? Because the people are leaving that, those lights are gonna be directly on that property continuously.
It has to be a light source, because we can't read it.
That's past the so MnDOT's requirement is 125 feet.
And what are we right there?
Looks like it's 212 to the end of the radius on the other street over there.
Because here's my question, because if you look at that, I'm looking, again, I don't read plans for a living, but just bear with me here. If you look at the site plan, and then you look to the north of 4th Street, you can see where Shopko's cut in there, where their parking lot is. MnDOT's gonna give Ron Carlson a cutout to the east of there. So, couldn't we let?
That determination has not yet been made.
Okay.
I spoke with Tracy Snell yesterday, and I can tell you that determination has not yet been made.
But the state right-of-way is 125 feet.
She did tell me it would be 125 feet.
Okay, so once we go past 125 feet, that's what we have to stay out of.
Right.
Then, once we get to 125 feet, 1 inch, then we decide.
Then we can, yes, we can have
Correct?
that.
I mean,
Exactly,
we can't
right.
buck the state, because that's just the way it is, but.
Right.
Once we get.
125 feet measured from? I don't quite remember the conversation I had with Tracy, but.
Brandon?
Couldn't be any further in the back of the sidewalk.
That's what it's showing here on the print, is the back of the sidewalk, 125 foot, 8 inches is what it's showing off the back of the sidewalk.
It's showing it,
Yes.
showing that driveway in the middle of the block at that.
Yep, 125.8 from the back of the sidewalk.
So that's where it's already at.
Well, I know I came up with coming to the meeting tonight. And it's pretty tricky to get across. 520.
Steve?
Thank you.
Randall, what's the road right away? From MnDOT?
No.
What's the road right away? I forget what it was, I can't remember when I talked to her.
Along Manorville Avenue, Highway 57. Betty was fenced on the back side of the curb. I believe it's 100 foot wide along this block.
So from back of curb to back of curb from each side?
I'm sorry, back of the sidewalk,
Back of the
essentially along
sidewalk.
57. So if the criteria is 125 feet from MnDOT right away, so let's call it back of the sidewalk to the west, just the start of the driveway, what I scaled off here would give it a little bit of room to slide over 5-10-ish feet to the east. You could slide that driveway over to that 125 foot mark. So maybe what my recommendation would be is there's some conditions on this conditional use permit for final site review by the city engineer, myself, in the MnDOT planning review. So that could be something that we could take up, myself could take up with MnDOT on how far we can slide that driveway to the east to better accommodate the residential areas to the west and to the southwest. With intent to slide over as much as feasible, between MnDOT and Casey's also. Because Casey's, that'll give them some heartache, if you will, on sliding that driveway to the east also, and kind of how things line up for them too, but I assume it would be something we could work through to best accommodate everybody here.
I think getting as far to the east as possible there.
I don't know if as far east as possible would be a term I would use, but slide over farther to the east, that still would be in the general vicinity of kind of mid-block there. Because we definitely don't want to bring it all the way over to immediately off of MnDOT right away. Similar to the Carlson discussion we're having on a separate project, but I would say in that general vicinity to slide over to the east to line up more mid, maybe I'll call it mid-block between Domino's and the adjacent residential property to the southwest of the project.
I mean, ideally, it would be to have their west side of their driveway line up with it between the property of Domino's and Barnhorst.
And Domino's got a driveway there too, that's closer yet.
Yeah, I mean, and that's their
But that was
driveway.
existing.
Yeah.
And this is
And we're trying to fit
turned
into
in
the
off of
existing
Manorville
neighborhood.
Avenue and a right.
I just
This is
think
what they're
it'd be,
stacking up.
good to be where it's not shining right in their house.
Mhm.
That's where I'm getting at, 'cause that, I mean, anybody living there to all of a sudden have the traffic they're gonna have, and hopefully they're gonna be busier and all get out and they have more cars than we can possibly count, but you don't want them in, directly in there.
When you come out of the driveway, you're gonna be pointing up. I'll guarantee it's not gonna be level coming down. You're gonna be pointing up out of the drive, and you're gonna be right up.
Just going on the crown of the road, it's gonna
Right.
Yep. So I can support if we can go to the east. To the back of the driveway.
That's maybe what my recommendation is to have a discussion between MnDOT, when they review the site plan, in our final review of the site plan, to look at sliding that driveway to the east, to better accommodate the residential subdivision, or excuse me, the residential property to the southwest there. Maybe want a little leeway on exactly where it is, because the other thing is we have potentially some right turn lanes coming off of Fifth Street being installed, so the farther we slide to the east, the less of a right turn lane we'll have on eastbound Fifth Street to go southbound on Manorville Avenue. So there's a lot of things in play here when we start talking about exactly how things all lay out, so.
Okay, just so we can try to avoid going into somebody's houses, that's all.
Yep.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
Nope.
No, and I think another question was, and I think Jerry got his answer, was that there's curb and gutter around there. that
Right, so there's
to
no water.
contain that water, I mean, you could.
Yep.
Okay. Dan, any comments?
No.
What?
The only thing I'd like to see is I'd like to see the, I mean, they're gonna put a white fence in around Jerry's. I'd like to see if we can get the same contiguous fence, look the same all the way around the property.
Okay, the only point I want to bring up about that, they've warned us that the white will eventually stain and it won't look as nice as new, where wood will look more natural with trees or shrubs. So I just want to warn you that it won't stay looking like new forever.
It won't rot either, though.
They actually did say it'll deteriorate faster than the wood.
Right.
They've tried it, and that was part of the discussion.
How long's that been up on 63, Doug?
Right on the south side of Mac, it's been there a long time.
I'm just telling you, I have had white fence. I have a white railing on my deck, and you can see the aging. And it's only been 8
You're just
years.
saying what will look better for their community, I think, would be a solid white fence.
But I just
that
want,
matches everything.
I just want them to be aware.
Okay.
Yeah, the white would probably make it brown, you know. If it would be more acceptable in their color scheme.
Tan.
Tan, brown, it doesn't need to be white. I just like the
Solid.
solid, not the shadow box, because that lets things go through, you know, garbage and debris, and I'd rather have that contained within their parking lot.
So we just do a solid vinyl fence and
Let them determine the
they
color.
determine the color.
Jerry wants white, I don't care.
We got a little white fence there now, and it's been there for years, and it looks pretty nice. Even if it does fade a little bit, it's still fine. It ain't gonna run away. Like there was over there across the street there, that fell over and they replaced it, it looks like crap.
Yeah, the one at Burger King, the one that
Burger
line
King.
is at.
I get that, but I just want, I don't want you coming in 5 years and saying it looks like crap, it's stained, it's yellowed, it's whatever.
Well, I'm sure they're gonna maintain it, so, right?
Right,
I mean, I would
but-
assume,
Okay, we've hammered the fence down.
yeah, right.
That's the only thing we had.
I got. Driveway to the east.
Lonnie, anything else?
Good with everything.
I got one question. I think, is the state or you guys planning to put some kind of four-way stop or something right around there? Around the traffic?
The state controls 57, we don't even have
Cause you know, when
any
you,
control.
that driveway you're talking about, Jason, coming out by Jason's house, you get 3 cars coming out, they're gonna have the road blocked, nobody's gonna be able to make a right turn until they can get across the highway, and somebody's making a left, this is gonna be jammed.
Turn lanes are gonna be put in as part of the conditional use permit.
On Fifth?
I believe that's on Fifth.
Yes.
Yes, Fourth and Fifth.
Yep.
Oh.
There's gonna be turn lanes.
That's number 6.
Yep, streets to be striped with right-hand turn lanes at Fourth and Fifth Street southwest intersections. No parking to be marked along the east 125 feet of Fourth and Fifth Street southwest, that's number 6.
Oh, yeah, I see now, okay.
So that's what we can do about the traffic. On 57 itself, we have no control or even very little input from what I've learned the last year and a half. When we give input, they don't like. So,
So, turn lane on that road right now, how is two-lane traffic? I mean, we have two-lane traffic right now, you put a turn lane in there, looks like the, you know, the curb and the road is all lining up the same as it is, right? I'm very curious.
that's up to our engineer, he's got that.
Okay.
There'd be no parking up to about,
The parking lot.
yeah, the back of Domino's, 125 feet.
So basically, it's probably end up being basically a 3-lane.
Correct. So if you're eastbound on Fifth Street, it'd be a right turn lane, through across 57, or a left to go northbound on 57, and then also the incoming traffic from 57 over Fifth Street east to 57. And that road's about 34-ish feet wide, so it'd be a 12-lane, 12-lane, and 12-lane.
Okay.
But short.
That's the Give it center, man.
We got it.
Okay, so we've talked about then, on this document that you have, number 1 at the bottom, says approval of preliminary and final plans to include a 10-inch utility easement.
10
That's
foot.
a 10-foot,
Foot,
so
yep.
make sure you see that
I
that's
got that.
10-foot.
And then do you want me to read the change to number 3 then? Buffer yards shall include shrubs and solid vinyl fencing for adjacent residential properties, residential districts, and the north side of the pond.
Yes. And then, would we add a number 8, that the south driveway to be moved to the east? With our city engineer working with MnDOT to address the concerns we brought up.
We could add it to number 7, city engineer to review site grading plan and work with, MnDOT to move driveway to the east.
Okay, acceptable to everybody? Or do they have change? Okay.
Yeah, well, other than where we have, you said you can't move it at all, you didn't really accomplish.
Well, that's what I was gonna.
From your map though, you think it can go 10 feet?
5 to 10 feet from what I'm looking at here.
Okay.
So with your math, just now, it can go 15.
I trust Brandon's math. More than my own.
Okay, we have the conditional use permit as recommended by planning and zoning with the amendments talked about. I'll just say, I realize change is never easy. So, I do understand that, everybody up here does take their serious time into considering these things, and, I don't think it's anybody's intentions that sits up here to disrupt anybody's life. I just think if you look at towns over, you know, the 150-some years we've been here, there's been a lot of inconvenience for a lot of people. Not here as much, but I've lived places where we've basically been kicked out because change was coming and it was going away. It's never easy being on either side of it, trying to figure it out, but I think comment, Nicole, you know, we are trying to look for the greater good of the whole community, and as things are changing. So, again, there's nothing personal. Nobody up here, I think, is looking to really stick it to anybody. So hopefully we've been as accommodative as we can. I think the direction from the community is this is the corridor that they want to see. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the conditional use permit as amended.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to make a comment. I think through this whole process here, I think if we'd have been a little more involved in some of this from the beginning, from the time when the plan was redrawn to make things shuffle, I think everyone could have been a little happier over this deal. Seems like we kind of get in it on the tail end, and decisions are already made. And I guess that's what I wanted to put out there, and it sounds the same way with this building permit we're gonna be dealing with. And some of these things that the council should be informed of a little bit of it a little sooner. And we're right here to work with the people, you know. I think some of the people on this block could have been happier over this. With that.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Opposed. Okay, motion carries 3-2. Planning Commission proposal B, proposal from HGKI.
So one of the immediate action steps on your comprehensive plan was to bring your zoning ordinance into line with a comprehensive plan. One of the first steps would be to do some just general diagnostics of the existing code, how the Planning Commission feels about the way that's currently written, changes that they would like to see to the code. Westington Kobler Group has provided a quote for that initial work of $15,000. We do have that money currently in the Planning Commission budget for this year. So it wouldn't require any additional funds of what's already budgeted. It's currently budgeted in the staff line, so this would be a contractual service. But we have not incurred expenses for staff.
Okay.
Then
This
for,
is to do exactly what?
to help the Planning Commission review what they currently have in their zoning ordinance, what they feel needs to be changed or amended or could be improved, and then how to bring it into line with the information that's in the comprehensive plan. So how is this different from sitting in Planning Commission meetings and going through it line by line?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it'll be a big time saver.
Okay.
Well, we had time.
I mean, aren't we already going through the ordinances kind of one by one?
Well, we took a look at everything except for the actual zoning districts. Now, our zoning districts don't match up with the land use, the future land use map. So what we're calling a downtown district, right now we're still treating it as C2. Because that's what our zoning, that's what our current zoning map has, and that's what our current ordinance includes. But they're not a perfect fit.
So let's fix that one first. There we go. We just identified it, know it needs to be changed, change ordinance.
Yes, and we could get some really good consultant assistance, with making that match.
I'm hesitant, personally. I don't wanna influence anybody else, but I'm just hesitant. We just spent $70,000 on the comp plan,
Right.
which is,
Right.
okay, we did that.
Yeah.
We did that. I would like to see us try to do what we can do over the next year and revisit it. I just.
Wow, okay.
Well, and I don't,
Wow.
I don't know, I'm just gonna speak my mind, because that's what I
Okay.
do. It
Okay.
seems like we spent the money on the comprehensive plan.
Yes, we did.
And then now it's just an add-on sale of the consulting group. to be
I
able to-
can get a quote from a different consulting group.
And I'm not trying to
Okay.
dump Brad at all, he's a great guy, he helped us
Okay.
do this whole thing, but just now it's like, well, if you wanna do that, here's an extra 15, if you wanna do that, it's an extra 20, if you wanna do this, it's this. And
I reached out to him.
Okay.
So, I actually initially reached out to WHKS for some assistance. WHKS referred me back to Brad, which I did not know that was a service that they offered until I was referred back to him.
Well, I think we can work on this in-house for a little bit. I mean, I think that, I agree with the mayor.
I just want to say it's a huge time commitment on the part of your planning commission. I understand that they had meetings until 11 and 12 o'clock at night, when they were going through zoning ordinance the last time.
What year was that?
Tom Halloran was still here when we first redid it. We had meetings, we did the land use map, we went through the whole, and redid all the zoning districts. We were here, we had meetings late.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sign up for it.
Yep.
Sign up for 15 minute
Well, I
meetings.
don't know that you're volunteers. Signing up for 11 or 12 o'clock at night is different from
Well, I'm not
asking to be
saying
on
that,
planning
I'm just saying it's like,
commission.
let's try it on our own here.
I would like to see us try it on our own, but set a
Okay.
time limit. I mean,
Okay.
meetings are controllable, you can
Okay.
adjourn them when you'd like, or
Alright.
say, hey, we're gonna spend 2 hours working on this, and if you do that for a period of time, and we're running into issues where, hey, we need to get this done, it's costing us money in other places, then we look at
Right.
hiring some help.
Right.
I appreciate you looking out and
Okay.
trying to get that done quickly, but I would just say, if we have that $15,000 in the budget for this year, let's leave it in the budget for this year. That'll go to our stabilization fund for next year, and if it's something we really need to do, because we're not getting it done and other things are coming up, then we've got the money in the stabilization fund to fund that at that time. That's my opinion.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
The stabilization fund,
Comment?
see where else we can save something, too.
There was something I lost.
Lonnie, I don't want to have undue influence anyway, but that's just my opinion.
Let's just table it for a period. See how it goes. If we're not getting anywhere, then we need to revisit it.
Would it, we're gonna work on it, I understand. If that doesn't, if we did this, would this help with, the problems we were just having tonight where Doug says there wasn't enough information up front? Would that, or doesn't this affect that? Because if we did it, that's the only question I got,
No, this really doesn't, what Doug addressed really isn't part of this, it was.
all zoning.
Right, but I think more of it was that, if I
There
speak.
was dealings going on, and there was plans redrawn to make a lot fit in there, and did you know anything about it? I didn't, maybe some input from the council at that time could have helped, and we could have had the whole block be commercial, and something else could have been going there, and that's what I'm thinking, we could have had everything turned at once, I think that would have been a lot better deal, but.
I just misunderstood what you meant.
Okay, consensus, let's table this for a while, see how we can handle it on our own, and then.
I'm good with that.
Okay. New business, set budget levy and levy dates and holiday dates. Has everybody got their calendar handy?
Are you gonna help us?
Well,
Out?
yeah.
Okay.
This is a time of year where we have to consider this. We're always asked by the county to give them the official dates that the that the final levy will be addressed along with the backup date. And the first date in December usually falls on the regular council meeting date, but then we usually set the backup date just 1 week later. And that still allows for the backup date to happen in December, but it also moves that second meeting date in December away from the holiday season, which seems to fit council's timeline better, so that seems to have worked well. It also allows that if, even by that second date on December 19th, things aren't determined or set, or for whatever reason, another meeting could potentially be called closer to the end of the year. So this has worked well in the past, but because it's two purposes for the resolution, or the motion, is we have to set the dates to report to the county, but then also changing that one, second of the, or the fourth Wednesday of the month, changing that meeting date, and taking care of that right now as well.
So move the December meeting from the 26th to the 19th to certify the levy?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a separate motion from?
Well,
Not doing
this
motion
is all
meeting?
just approving dates.
Okay.
Yep, and so that the final one will originally be considered on December 12th,
Okay.
with the 19th as the backup date, which is also the
Okay.
second meeting.
Okay. Right.
Any questions?
No, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. I'll entertain a motion to move the second December meeting from the 26th to the 19th.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks,
Second.
Brian. Thanks, Doug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Change your calendars. Thanks, Nancy.
I'm not available on the 19th, but as long as you don't need me, that should be.
As long as you're working free next year, you won't.
Okay. On to, yep.
Can you kind of prove that there's consensus for those meeting dates, either by resolution for the 12th and the 19th to be your levy, the budget date, and the backup date?
Okay. I'll entertain we'll make it official. I'll entertain a motion to set the December 12th as our levy and budget date, with the 19th being our backup date. Do I have a?
I'll make that one.
Thanks, Dan. Second, Doug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Motion passed unanimously, Nancy. Mayor's report. I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention, if you read the paper or if you look through the county minutes, they've got on their commissioners meeting on August 14th at 10 o'clock in the morning, they're going to be having a public hearing regarding a proposed countywide sales tax of 0.5% to go to transportation, for lack of better words, for roads and bridges type thing. We had our council on governments meeting last Friday morning with county was there, we were there. I expressed my concerns, just I really hadn't heard about it until I read it in the paper. And this is something that would affect Casson more than a lot of the rest of the county. So I was just trying to make everybody aware of it, hear what they have to say. It's nothing that's a done deal. They're just asking for the public's input. So if you know anybody in business or yourselves, you want to go over or send them a letter or email, let them know what you think, please do that. But that was is on their agenda for the 14th at 10 a.m. I'm out of town, so I can't be there, but I already shared my input and opinion.
So if they go with it, we're automatically stuck with it?
It's a countywide, just like Olmsted County.
Olmsted County, Steele County.
Yeah. So, if they go with it, it's countywide. Yeah, there wouldn't be anything we can do about it.
Can't opt out of it.
Can't, well, yeah, no, you can't opt out of the sales tax. So I just want everybody to be aware of that. So,
It's amazing what that 0.5% generates.
it was about $450,000 for Dodge County. That's what they figured.
I thought it was even more
They
than that.
thought it'd be more than that. I thought it'd be more than that, but when they said the number with sales in Dodge County, but that just shows how retail poor we are.
Yeah.
You know, and that type of thing. So, it'd be about $450,000 the first year, they figured. So, which, when you're building roads and bridges,
Isn't much.
doesn't go far.
No.
You know, they just doubled the wheelage tax to 20, because part of the problem is you talk to county, their budget's getting cut from the state for transportation every year, and the state's saying, hey, we're giving you ways to raise it locally, go do that. Well, maybe somebody would add the sales tax, so the state's having a lot of fun with that, so.
What were we figuring on 16th, a mile was there? A million?
Generally, a county road is $1 million a mile.
A million a mile.
Yeah, so you get a half a mile.
out of it.
Yeah,
You know,
so.
really.
I get it, I just wanna make everybody aware of it, because at first I heard what was the paper and.
Same here.
So, administrators report.
Okay, so, what I have in your packet are a resolution, rules and policy for distributed generation. The city had adapted materials from the city of Rochester and had those available for any residents who wanted to, participate in distributed generation programs. So that would have been, solar panels that would, produce more electricity than they needed during any particular period of time, wind generation. So, Compass, our, electric cooperative, put together a program so that all of the cities within Compass could have a standardized form of, distributed generation process for their residents. So what I need is for you to, approve the resolution and the rules and the policies, and then your next meeting, I will come back with your annual report, and then you will receive an annual report, every year around March 21st on what has been, generated, what we purchased. We, in this way, have been able to set what our, what rate we will pay for generation, which we would have been subject to our existing fee schedule and basically paying retail rates for, additional generation. Now we have a calculation that lets us know what our actual cost is, so, a lot of the fine details have been worked out.
That's been in your packet, I'm assuming everybody's read through that. Any questions for Teresa on the distribution generation resolution? Distributed.
Generation, yeah.
Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the distributed generation resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Lonnie. Second?
I'll second that.
And any further discussion? All in favor, state aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Entertain a motion to approve the distributed generation rules and policy. Also in the packet that you read.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Lonnie. Do I have a second? Second. Thanks, Troy. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. And number 3, that's just
Electric power
information.
services, I had a resident who asked, so I thought, well, we'll just share it with everyone.
Okay.
Then you'll all know.
You see our largest source of electricity for our utility is nuclear at 50%. Renewables are 30%. I think that's a lot of the questions we get. What percentage of power we use in city cast is renewable, is 30. Okay, engineers report, I see nothing official there. Thank you. Correct. Got the memo. I'm gonna go to the attorney's report, and we're gonna go into 2 closed sessions. So the first session is gonna be for litigation strategy regarding special assessment appeals and a building permit application. And the second closed session will be to discuss, discussion regarding the purchase of real estate at 102 15th Street Northeast. The litigation strategy, I'm assuming, is not going to be recorded.
Correct.
And the discussion regarding the purchase of real estate will be recorded. Correct. Okay. Once we finish the closed sessions, we'll open the meeting back up, so we'll officially close the meeting. Thank you.